Okay, we go to the candlestick topic. That online chart and doing practical practices. The last clip that I told you one thing, and I told you that it's important to use candlestick, and if this candlestick is like 2 millimeters shorter or longer, or it's outside of the trend, there's so many, it makes so a huge difference. And even if this candle is like the shadow is longer or shorter, it makes differences. It's important where to use candlestick and know each candle well, and the number of pips that we want to do get profit of is how much. There's something about candlestick. Point one, you should use candlestick in the same direction with the market, the trend, or there's like a high or a thing forming. It is valid in the opposite direction of the trend. So they should always finish in a pivot to get a good signal from candlestick. You see, from what I told you in the last clip, candlestick is the best and the most professional tool for trading, but so many people don't know it completely. Like the ones who have read the books of candlestick and think that they know it all. They've memorized the shapes of the candle, but when we used it in the chart, the order that we opened, it got closed with loss. You should practice candlestick practically. It's not like if you practice once or twice, it will be good. You should practice over and over again until the candles shapes be like all over your mind. To the point that when you see the candle, you will know that if the candle is valid or not. I promise you to show you the candles that you can trade in, and they will happen like 2 times a day. One is 1 p.m. and one is 4 p.m. There's some good candles, and we can get good profit from it and get our target pip. Another thing about candlestick, how much will the candlestick give us like profit as of pips? Now I will tell you these points one by one in this video. Okay. This candle that we said, if it has a long shadow from the bottom and is longer than the body, it means an increase in price. If the shadow is longer, the validation is more. You see, there's so many, like, you've seen so many cases that there was a shadow and a long body, a long shadow and a long body. It wasn't really validated, because if the body is smaller and the shadow is longer, it's better. When this candle is in the bottom and we call it a high candle, and it gets created at the bottom of my chart, it shows increase in price. Like the next candle has gone up. The next candle has gone down here. And here, you see, there's a candle with a long shadow and lower than the two sides. And the next candle has gave us an increased signal, a bullish signal, and gone up. The thing about candlestick, when this candle gets finished, you shouldn't trade. You should wait until the next candle gets starts working, when it passed this the new candle, if it passed this top of the body of the next candle, you can start trading. Okay. The other thing, exactly here. If I have this candle, I can say that my trend is 70% upwards. For confirmation, I should wait for the next candle to start working and passes the top of the body of my candle and then start working. How much time will the candle be validated? This blue zone. This candle has been finished here. When the price can't, until the time that the price can pass this shadow, it has validation. When it passes this shadow, the next candle, we can say that this candle has no validation anymore. So if I wanted to do a buy position here, imagine we don't have from this and on from the chart. I wait for it to open the price here, and I can do a buy position here. And according to pivots or Fibonacci, get my profit and exit. Or like here, that it has been formed like this. The shadow is lower than these two sides, and it's like a high, this blue zone. Or exactly here, this candle. You see, these three lines, these three highs, the price couldn't pass these three, and the candles are started going upwards. Another thing is, when will this high get formed? The highs have validation when they get finished in a pivot. Definitely, if you want to get signals from reversal candles or like kite or doji or highs, they should definitely be finished in a pivot. Means they hit the pivot, they get a comeback when it got finished, and they get finished in a pivot. Means or like this, or as a high, they got validation that way. But if they don't get finished or formed in a pivot, know that there is no validation for it. And we have it on the top of our chart. The candle that has a long shadow from the top, it's like a reversal here. We were looking for a high here. We had a high here, this blue zone. The candle has been formed, and the price has had increased and gone up. And I wanted, here. It's like an inverted hammer, also shooting star. But we call this highs. When there's a shadow, a long shadow, longer than the body and is higher than the two sides, we call it a high. We have better candles. Like here, this blue zone, the shadow on the top is longer than its body and the two sides, and it has gone down the trend. So when this candle gets finished, I get a signal. But is this signal have a confirmation or not? The rule 1. I should wait for my price to pass this edge. And 2, your candle should be finished in a pivot. Where were we in the chart? Okay, here. It's exactly in the pivots and has gone down. You see, we had a pivot here. It has passed it right now. But again, our final pivot was here, and the price has gone into it and came back. It doesn't get seen that much. Okay. But if you've paid attention, sometimes it has worked. So, when the long shadow is on the top, at the bottom of the chart, means the candle is at the bottom of the chart with a long shadow. My trend is going to be uptrend. And when my high is on the top, my trend is like downtrend. And when can I trade in that trend? I should wait for the price to open this candle and then I start trading. Look here, it has gone up a little, but it couldn't open this shadow's price. When it can, you can say that the candle is still valid and the possibility of the drop is still there. And another one is that it gets finished in a pivot. And we want to know if a candlestick is valid and it will get performed. And that is the third confirmation. We have three confirmations. The first one is it's longer than the two sides of itself. The second one, the price of the next candle should pass past the last candle and then start trading. And the third rule, our candle gets finished or formed in the corrective wave. Here that it's increasing and my trend has become from downtrend to uptrend. This high that it gets created, it's like a support for making it go upwards, to increase my price upwards. So I've got this completely. I've told you the three rules. When my price is increasing and this high is at the bottom of the chart, and it definitely should get finished in a pivot, it's a really good confirmation for our buy positions. And this is the high candle. We have another candle. We call it a reversal candle. I did watch a really good one here. Look here. We have this part of the chart as well. The candle is like this. You see, the candle here, the shadow is longer than the body, and the body is when it's on the top of the chart, your trend is going to be downtrend. So if you want to get a down signal or a sell signal, this reversal should be on the top of your chart. When it's on the top of your chart, your trend is going to downtrend, and when it's at the bottom of the chart, the trend is going to go upwards, like here. Here, my price has gone up. The two shadows are longer than the body. And if it's on the bottom of the chart, the bottom shadow is longer. And if on the top shadow is longer. Like here, it has happened. But the price has resisted. And my main pivot was here. That's why the price couldn't pass it. It's not really, it didn't make my candle invalid. But after this candle, we expected it to drop, the price to drop. And there was a drop. We have another candle here. Here. This here in the chart, we also have it. One of the shadows should be longer than the other one. Here, the shadows are kind of the same. So this candle is a little invalid. If it's in the top of the chart, the longer shadow should be on the top. Let me show you other things. We had a high here. And there's a reversal here as well. A high here. My mouse has a little problem. There was a high here. And also here. This is the reversal. A really big reversal. You see, the candle is on the bottom of the chart, and the shadows are longer than the body, and the shadow on the bottom is longer. So when it's in the bottom of the chart, my trend is going to go upwards, and when it's on the top of the chart, it's going to go downwards. I will teach these by this. They call it like the kite or something else, but I call it a reversal. The other thing that you should pay attention to, the high or the candle shouldn't be, like the high shouldn't get formed in the wave. You see here. When it's in the wave, like it couldn't make this shadow longer than the both sides. But this shadow is like lower than this last candle. I know that this candle doesn't have validation. Like this high here, this hanging man, it was in the trend. This hanging man isn't really valid. When does a hanging man is valid? When the whole candle is higher than the both sides. The highs that are in the trend isn't really like not are not important that much. You see here, my candle is gotten formed in the trend. The candle has gone up. There's a high here. If this high was longer than its both sides, it had validation, but it doesn't. So it doesn't have validation. But like here, you see here, when it gets finished in the last candle, like inside of the last candle, it is invalid. So you shouldn't trade on according to them. Okay. This doesn't get counted as a reversal because it is in the top of the chart and it's lower than the both sides and the longer shadow is on the bottom, so it's not valid. Don't be fooled by them. Like look, this candle, if it was higher than this one, we could say that it was a really good high. But it has finished in the like inside of other candles, so you see here we have doji, a really small body and two long shadows. See what a good signal it has given us. But if this high gets formed like in the trend, it doesn't have validation like this one. This high is inside of the other candles, is inside of the other trends. And it couldn't get higher than the two sides. It isn't valid. And another thing, like here, you see here, this candle has been finished inside of the last candles, so it isn't valid. And we conclude that the reversal or a doji that we want to trade about should not be inside of the other candles and inside of the trend. If it's going to go down, it should be from the bottom and it should finish in a pivot. And if it's going to get us an up signal, the bottom shadow should be longer than the top one. Okay. So you've learned all these? Maybe you ask that this reversal candle is valid until how many candles later? Usually until 2 candles later. If you want to do the default mode, you should analyze each and every candle one by one. If you do scalping, this candle that is finished, you should get a buy on the next one. You should wait for it to see how it gets finished. It may be a reversal. I could get a buy here. Or the next one is a doji. We don't do trade on them. And there's a continuous one here. There's a high here. And is higher than the both sides of it. And the next candle has dropped down. It's a high at the bottom of my chart. So my next candle should go upwards. This is a continuous candle. When this gets finished, I can get a buy position until this candle. And then I wait for it to finish. If we said that if this candle couldn't open the top price, it would be an overlapping. So we conclude that we should use candlestick one by one, but the candles like reversals or highs or like other ones, they're valid. The signals is valid until 2 candles later. Sometimes I've seen that the third candle is also valid. But if you want to don't go into greedy mode, close your order when it got to the second candle. So you see, you've learned all these highs and candles. We go to the continue candles, continue trend candles, like here. You see, if the candle finished like this, a really large body, it may have shadows from both sides, or it may not have sides, or it may have like shadow from one side. Like this candle may be a continuous one or a 50-50 one. May that be overlapping and then like drop down. Like this candle is finished like this. The next candle, this candle starts working. I wait for this candle to pass the price of that candle, the shadow of that candle. And better if it passes shadow as well. It gives you more like confirmation. We know that this candle is going to drop down completely. It's an overlapping. But you see here, it has overlapped the candle. This is not an overlapping. A candle that creates one that is exactly like that one, like the last one, it's overlapping then. Like here, this candle has two shadows and the body is larger, but the next candle couldn't open the price of the on the top. So when it can't, it will finish just like the last one and it goes down. Like here, it has like I had a pivot here, so it has opened the price and has gone down. And I'm sorry, it came back up. And it's a low pivot, swing low pivot. I will tell you this low pivots in this term. Like this candle has a body longer than the shadows, and we should wait for it to like open the price. This is a continuous one. We wait for the candle to open this edge here, and it's like this on and on. But a candle like this, it has dropped down. You may think that you may like none of the notes or the books have said this, that when the candle opens this, it will create, it has passed my price, but it didn't give me a final confirmation. It should pass this shadow. It couldn't open the shadow. The opening the shadow is the final confirmation for a continuous candle. And it will like be overlapped and go upwards. Here we have one here. This candle has been finished. And so many of you thought that it will drop down, but I always say wait for the price to open and then you can open a sell position. You see, it's an overlapping and it's gone upwards. Okay, like this is a continuous candle. It has two small shadows from like two sides and a large body. And it has opened, like I started working the next candle with a small gap. you can get a lot of pips of profit in it. When there's something like this, you can easily open your sell position and profit. Or here, I have a bearish candle, and I could like get my sell position, and make up for my losses. There's a reversal for me here. Okay. We said that if it's in the bottom of the chart, it should go up. It's one of the techniques of candlestick. Why didn't it perform? Why didn't it work? Because the reversal hasn't been finished in a pivot. That's why. This, no. This third rule hasn't been performed and it wasn't in the pivot. So I should expect it to go down still. Another thing, there's another confirmation about candlesticks. That is rule number 4 or 5. I don't know. The fourth one. When reversals. When a reversals is on the bottom of the chart, if the color of this candle is different from the last candle, you can say that there's a really good confirmation for it. Means the candles of yours were bearish and white, and now it's empty, so we can know that it's really valid and it's gonna go upwards. So we got like, what is this right now? You understood it completely. I'm repeating. Don't look at it the way that it's bearish and do your sell positions then. Wait for it, for the price of the candle to get opened, and then you can open your position until the next price opens. And you can do it by pivots or the pivot tools or Fibonacci. The next candle about dojis, like here. A candle that is like this has two shadows, like long shadows, and a little body. The validation of this candles are low. A valid candle is a candle that has a shadow longer than the body. Like it would be a square, not a line. These kind of candles will be formed in the sideways form of market. If a candle finishes like this, we don't trade. Like here, we have a continuous candle. We call it the 3. They call it so many things. 3 river, 3, like, 3 other things. I call it 3 soldiers. The book says if the candles finish like these, 3, one by one, it's a reversal. I said that when it moves like this, you should definitely, there should be a high to say that this is the end of your trend. Like we had the example so many times. Dow Jones has a lot of swings recently. Let me go open another chart. But I forgot to tell you something. These three soldiers, when three soldiers gets finished like each other, expected to go for 5 candles, and then there will be a high or like a change in trend. Like here we had 2 candles. Like after it gave me a high, and now it's gone up. So don't expect the price to suddenly change directions. You see, here the candles are a lot, but there's a doji here, and it has gone down a little. This candle is an overlapping one. It wasn't a continuous one. This is a continuous. Exactly here. 3 candles like each other, and then the next candle is a high. The high that it made the chart go like downwards. But we had an example of 5 candles like similar to each other, and then the trend change. If you saw these kind of candles, like here and here, a bearish signal it gave to you, and then when you got the signal, then open your sell positions. You should wait for the high to be created, the top shadow to be longer than the bottom shadow to get a trend change, and it drops down. You see, there's 3 or 4, and the 5th one has been finished in the inside of the last candle. Yeah, here. So the sixth channel, the 6th candle is a high. It has gone up for half of this trend. You go to the Dow Jones. Okay. Another thing is the 3 soldier candles. Here. You see here had a bullish candles. This one is overlapping and has been finished in the belly, like the inside of the last candle. When it's get overlapped, know that it's gonna like have a reversal. So when here it is in the belly of the last candle, it will have a trend upwards. Like here also there's an upwards or increase in price. It's in the belly of the last candle. Or here I've got a like a increase in price, and then it got finished in the belly of the last candle. I had no pivots here. It, the pivots couldn't like make the price to go upwards. Okay. So I've told you these. This candle that you see here is a small bearish signal. When they get open, it's in a continuous one. When you do a buy signal here, a sell signal, and until here, that the bullish signal gets announced. I could have 73 pips of profit. The next candle is overlapping. When it's overlapping, there's a relaxation for the chart. Means that you should expect it when a bullish signal is inside of the bearish signal, there should be like a reversal. Why? Because it has opened the pivot. It was the third strike of the pivot. And legally, the third strike of the pivot is going to break. Next session, we will talk about other candlesticks, but these are the most important ones that you can trade about. And I will trade it with it. Okay.